Hello, welcome to Karagor Studios' Remnant Lunar Archon. Welcome back. It's session 3, chill times. Hopefully everything goes well. Say hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
There we go. I need to get y'all to talk more
Howdy.
without provocation. Yeah, but hi. Yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Who would like to give the recap, or should I?
I was not here, so I would not make
Sure,
a
you were
good
only here for
historian.
part of it. Okay, I'll go ahead and give the recap then. Last session, we started in the middle of a combat between the party and Bosk, the leader of this kobold band that had been harassing. And I had a word for it. I'd figured out the word last time. Don't remember what it is. Harassing and basically forcing the town to give them food in order to not be attacked by them. Awful situation.
Intimidating.
Intimidate is a good word, but I know there's a specific word for that. But it'll come to me later, I'm sure, whenever it doesn't matter.
Do you mean racketeering?
Maybe that might be the official term, but I don't remember the word very well. I remember racketeering. Maybe though. But yeah, they finished that fight pretty closely. Ended up defeating Bosk and the kobolds that were with him. It was a tough fight between Arashim and Bosk in a duel until the very end when everyone jumped in. After doing so and taking a minute, the party looked around, found Bosk's personal stash of things. Extortion, that's what it's called. See, I told you it'd come to me. They found Bosk's personal stash of materials and money for the most part, as well as the different supplies the kobolds had taken. After a few minutes of looking around, they ended up going into a different section of the map, or of the cave. They found a set of portcullis that were around a room. The party splitting into two groups that went into the two different sides of the room. Switch was pulled and nothing happened. Then it was stopped back and then another switch was pulled. As it opened and the party tried to speak to the two kobolds that were in this room, as well as two velociraptors that appears the kobolds were training, the kobolds were attacked by a set of small jackrabbit like Grim that immediately killed one of the kobolds and took out a velociraptor as well. Combat ensued. Party was not doing well. It took after a few rounds of combat, taking out the Grim and the other kobold being killed by the Grim as well. No, the other kobold was, I believe, killed by Doug. Either Doug or Cedar, who came from the other side and weren't aware that they were trying to reason with those kobolds. They just thought it was a combat. As the combat continued, one of the velociraptors, thrashing about for anything it perceived as dangerous, managed to knock down Arashim. A few attacks later, and a couple of failed death saves, and Arashim died. It was a heartfelt moment as the party mourned his loss. Thicket being particularly stricken with the death, wishing that he could fix him. There was nothing to be done. The party picked up Arashim, I believe Doug and Garand carrying him, took him back toward the front of the cave, spoke to the kobolds that were guarding a prisoner, intimidating them with the head of Bosk that Doug is carrying, and managing to get the kobolds to release a young elven man named Kellum, who came to remove the kobolds on his own, failing to do so. And as the party left the cave, that is where we left off last time. You all exit the cave, and you hear The light patter of rain and bits of shifting in the sand from the water. You see the 4 kobolds sitting out of the front side of the cave, sitting just inside to get out of the rain. As they look to you. Hey, how'd it go?
Well, good and bad. Good and bad. Mostly bad. A little good.
Ow.
Well, you will be happy to know that you will not be plagued by Grim. Unfortunately, it cost Ursham his life, so... Again, some bad.
But it's a chance for you guys to start new. Start, figuring out what you want to do with your lives.
Can we go back to the town with you? We don't really know what to do next. We thought we might join up with the purple kobolds.
I mean, pretty sure we couldn't stop you if we wanted to, so.
You killed boss, you probably could. Do you need help carrying things back to the town?
I think that would be helpful.
They will move around and help. Try to carry Arashim. Take some of the weight off of him for you. What would you like to do?
Just to make sure, we searched every nook and cranny of the cave. There wasn't anything that we missed, just to double check.
You went the entire way through the cave. You found all the areas. I can bring the map up for you if you'd like, and you can move around it, but I can tell you there's nothing that you missed.
No, that's fine. I'd like to try to, maybe start encouraging everyone. I don't know if, maybe playing a song on the lute or something, start trying to write something about, adventurous souls willing to risk it all, and how, we saved a prisoner and lost a friend, and something of that nature, to maybe help people to try to process this as we head back to town. If it looks like anybody starts getting sad, though, I will change tunes, and we'll do something different.
Make a performance check. It's difficult with the rain, but you're able to keep your... is it a lute you play, I believe?
Yes, you are correct.
It's a bit difficult with the lute, trying to keep it dry and make sure it's out of the rain, holding your jacket over it as you play. Everyone else is able to hear it. It's good. It's a bit of a somber moment, and the music seems to echo that. You walk quietly with this musical accompaniment the 5-6 miles back to town. The kobolds halfway helping carry Arashim, but also almost using him as an umbrella as they carry him from beneath him. It's hard. You can't see the sun through the clouds, but you'd guess probably closer to 1 o'clock, sometime around midday, based on the lighting. When you see the town of Myosine ahead of you.
So, where should we put him?
I think we need to go to the men of the town, the one who hired us, and see if he will make arrangements for taking care of him. Maybe I don't know if he has family. I didn't learn too much about him just yet, but something to assist that, and then and then of course we want to reunite this other lad with the rest of his folks.
Who were you referring to? Oh, Kellum. Right. Never mind. Continue.
Well, sounds like a plan. So where are we going to find this dude?
I mean, we can start shouting. I mean, hello, help, we have wounded. Something of that nature.
That might worry people. We don't really want to cause attention.
We can say we were victorious. That we can bring good attention, perhaps cheer people on.
They're going to notice that we have a dead body, though.
I'm sure they're used to it. Most villages are.
I guess we could check the town again. That's where we met him, right?
Kellum looks over. You're talking about Peng. He might be there. He tends to patrol during the day a lot. We look around town. It shouldn't take long to find him. As for a place to bury, or shall we send to bury, and he points over toward the northeastern side of the village. We tend to bury our dead over there. If you'd like, we can make a sandstone heading for him, but we usually just use wood to mark where the bodies are buried.
I don't really know what to do. I mean, really and truly, we just met him. Like Garamond said, I mean, we hardly know anything about him.
Well, still more than me. If he's like anyone else here, he's probably still good to bury him. I don't know if the Air Genasi have anything about that it's different. And
Well, we can't keep carrying him around.
no.
Should we go ahead and bury him on the northeast side, or should we go and talk to Peng?
I'm not going to offer these all the time because I think it's better if you'll ask, and if you know when to ask. If you'd like Cedar, you can make a religion check to see what type of burial, if any, is specific to Air Genasi or what might be good for him, as you are a cleric. You'd like to make that check. Or
Okay.
you can go around town and as you were.
I don't know how to make that check.
So go onto your page and then go to the skills section. Underneath persuasion is religion. You'll go off to the right where the -1 is, the total, and you'll double click that.
I don't see religion.
Underneath persuasion, above sleight of hand. You're on the skills tab.
Oh, I see it. Okay. And I rolled the religion one, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You can drag it over or double click it. You have no idea. You are not a burial person. You don't really deal with the dead as much. You're more so engaged in healing and plant life. Let me double check your page. Oh. Do I have your history written on here? I do not. Well, it's reasonable to assume that from where you come from, you were not the caretaker for these type of things. You wouldn't know in particular. But burial always sounds like an idea. That's what a lot of people do.
Well, let's go ahead and bury him. We'll mark him with wood, as you suggested. And then we can go and talk to Pang.
You take a few minutes. You don't have any tools on hand, I believe, any shovels or anything, but you use some of your weapons, even maybe some of your mess kits or things like that to help pull the sand away and dig a few feet deep. It takes a few minutes. It's not the easiest thing, and it's not a quick endeavor. I'll say a bit over an hour goes by before you're finally able to push the sand over him and bury Arasham. Take a breath and look to the rain. You feel a surprisingly gentle wind brush by you. And almost a whisper on the sands. And it's gone.
All right. Well, there's no time to waste. We do have to make it to our destination by March. And we're still in the same town that we've been in.
Yes, but we successfully, after only not even a full day, in fact, rescued a missing citizen and solved one of the town's problems. I say overall things are looking up, and unfortunately, loss is a part of life, as we all might be aware. But let us go find Ping and see if we can press on to the next leg of our journey.
You move into town. Kellum quickly leaves you and he says as he goes, I have family to go find. I need to make sure they know I'm okay. Thank you for your help. I wish I had something to give you, but I honestly don't. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And he will head off. It takes not too long looking around the village. It's not a large place. You do end up seeing, talking to, let me double check, talking to a half-orc woman on the steps of a single floor building with a standing on the porch of it. In front of a few rocking chairs, you see the building with a sign that says General Store burned into the overhang. And Pang is standing and talking to a half-orc woman on top of the steps. As you walk up, he looks over. Wow. Looks like y'all got back all right. How did everything go? I see you've picked up some kobolds. Are they going to be a problem?
I don't think so.
I'm
But
just going through some things.
I'm sure they'll get back to it. Kobolds are fairly resilient in my experience. All about survival.
And I think they get, in order to survive, they're going to have to change them. And I think they're ready.
I hope so. They need help here. I'm happy to help them out, but I can't necessarily put them priority over my citizens, but if they're looking for work or anything here, I'm happy to oblige.
Question. Was Thicket the one that had the scrolls?
I believe so. I can double check their inventory, though. As he looks over, there were 6 of you before. Something happened.
yeah. Arsham didn't make it.
I'm sorry for your loss. Do you know of any family he had or anything that we can contact?
No, we just met him.
I'll ask around town, see if anyone knew him. I've heard if he's worked as a guide, but he's not necessarily from here. Don't know where he was from. We'll see if I can find anyone that we can talk to and let know what happened. We appreciate your sacrifice, and I'm sorry for you. I think it does have the scrolls. Come inside out of the rain. Sit down. We can talk about what you need and if you need any help from here. And he will wave you into the general store.
Okay, so, did we know the reason for this mission?
What was that?
Did we know the reason for this mission? Like, in terms of, why we were assigned the task compared to, I guess, anyone else?
His explanation was that he couldn't get away from the town, and that the town needed the guards and himself on hand in case of a grim attack, and so he didn't have anyone to spare to go and hunt down the kobolds and get them to stop extorting the town. And so, the first time a set of adventurers came into town, he made you the offer.
Wait, sorry, I didn't have my notes with me because I'm currently in a different place.
That's okay.
And I'll be in another place.
It's always okay to ask. Yeah, but he was not able to. Effectively, the town couldn't handle it on their own, and so he needed outside help. And your help from the outside.
Okay, does he know? Well, he's a human, right?
He is a human, yes.
Does he know any languages?
Are you gonna ask him if he knows any other languages?
Oh yeah, I guess I could. Hey,
Because you wouldn't know. If you're just asking if you know, you wouldn't. It's a
hey,
person you don't know very well.
We found some scrolls, and we were wondering if you could take a look at them. See if you can make them out.
Sure, come inside and we'll take a look. Do y'all follow him inside?
Yes.
He brings you in. It's a fairly nice, fairly simple general store. It has all the basic traveling supplies. It doesn't have anything fancy. It doesn't have a bunch of magical reagents. It doesn't have a ton of different martial and more complicated weapons. It has effectively adventuring gear and simple weapons for common protection. There is a table and some chairs, and he gestures for you all to sit down while he remains standing. So there are only a few chairs available. The kobolds stay sitting on the front porch. What's the scroll you wanted me to look at?
And then can I say I reached in the Thicket's bag?
Yeah, Thicket would let you pull out the scroll. He takes a look at it. I can't make heads or tail of this. It's looks magic in some way, but he gestures to the sword on his back. It's not really my area of expertise. I've never been very good at that type of stuff. Are any of you wizards or anything? You might know how. Mage.
I mean, yes.
You take a look at it. You can identify it over a short rest if you'd like. Or you could make an Arcana check and be able to instantly do it or cast Identify. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you, though normally it'd be for the other types of things. I'll just drag it into your inventory. It's going to show up as Find Scroll, but I am going to go ahead and identify that for you. You would recognize it as it is something on your spell list. It is a Scroll of Sleep. You can use an action to read the spell, and cast the spell without providing any material components or spell slot. Once the spell is cast, the scroll fades and crumble. The words on the scroll fade and crumble to dust. You can also, if you don't already know the spell or have it in your spell book, you can copy it down into your spell book using fine ink and paper. I don't believe you have it in your book. I could be wrong.
Probably should have thought of that when I was making my inventory.
That's okay. It's pretty expensive. I think it's like 50 gold piece per level of the spell. So you'd have to have 50 gold pieces worth of materials. It's not something you would have had easy in the first session. But it's something that you can use or potentially hold on to and learn the sleep spell.
Okay.
I will leave that in your inventory.
What was the was there a payment from
Yes,
paying?
of course. We are happy to, as we agreed upon, supply you with any traveling supplies, as well as a map and anything you might need to reach the next town that you're heading to. Where are you heading next?
We should look at the map, maybe.
Oh, that's a good point. I will go ahead and... Here, he pulls out a map and opens it on the ground before you. Let me pull up the map of Vacuo. Boop, boop. You are in the bottom right corner, currently in the town of Myocene, and you would effectively be able to tell that based on the size and scale of the map, each hexagon is going over it is roughly 20 miles, and so it's about a day's travel from each hexagon. If you were to go quicker than that, you could move faster and cover more ground, but it would shave off, such as if you went from Myocene to Feldspar, that's effectively 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. If you were to go at a fast pace, that would cut off an extra day and a half, maybe 2, and cut down to 6.5 or 7 days to get there. And you now have the map of Vacuo as they pull it out. This will be included with the rest of your supplies. I imagine it will be helpful. Where did you say you were going?
Well, I'm just going along for the ride. I want to learn from them and tell stories and so forth, so I'm on the road with them wherever they're going.
You got a bard, then. Rest of you.
Trying to find the location. I know we had to go to... I don't think it was Kenai, it was somewhere else.
Should be in the announcements tab is the letter, which I suppose we can go ahead, and I think we have not read the letter to chat before, so I will go ahead and read the letter each of your characters received. To, and your character's name, and whom it may concern. I hope this letter finds you in good health and good spirits, but also with a desire to do good and aid those who need you. You have been chosen by divine advisement to partake in a quest of great importance for the city of Kenite. Your presence is requested before the wise Lord Uldrathel, Lord of Kenite, bearer of the 3 stars of Saint Vernache. Should you have any concerns about this mission, worry not, for you'll be rewarded quite handsomely for your skills. You are expected before March 25th. Should you not arrive before the expected time, we will assume you have met trouble on the road and send members of the Order of the Four Spirits to retrieve you. With all honors, Reverend Josiah Bellathor.
Hey, so I was right. We were going to Kenite.
Kenite.
Kenite. Let's see.
But before we get there, I guess it makes the most sense to go to Feldspar first.
Oh yeah, I'd recommend it. You'd need quite a bit of stuff to get all the way from here to Kenite. There's technically a road that gets there, but it's not an easy one. I'd recommend going through Feldspar and either to Schist if you want to take further travel to the side to Kenite, How long did you say you have to get there?
About a month.
Well, you've got some time then. So if you're going to Felds, did you say you wanted to go to Feldspar?
I think so. What about you guys?
It seems the most reasonable.
Yes, certainly, and it looks rather large as far as cities go, so perhaps there will be a trade caravan making its way there soon.
It's possible. The most recent caravan we had was actually the one you all came on, but most of them either left this morning or were actually heading, let's see, heading back toward Vale. Quite a bit of them were just here for the one trip.
Mhm.
But we can set you up with some of your own things. We don't have any issue with that. And I'm going to throw onto the map a thicket token so that we can see where y'all are as you move around. Unless you get lost, in which case I'm going to take the token away and then you don't know where you are. Based on what you'd need, I'm going to guess probably a few barrels of water, plenty enough rations to get you there, some travel supplies, and a mule.
Woo, a mule.
Gotta pull the stuff somehow,
You're right.
especially when you're carrying barrels of water. Does that satisfy you? Do you have any particular requests?
I just need a small leather bag that I can carry with me on my side.
What was that?
I just need a small leather bag I can carry with me on my side.
Oh, of course. That's easy enough. He looks over. Where is your name? Giselle, if you don't mind hooking them up with whatever they need. They've done us a service getting rid of the kobolds. So, this one here needs a leather bag, and looks like they'll need roughly let's say 10 days worth of food and rations and everything to make sure they get all the way to Feldspar. Right? The half-orc woman, fairly tall, nods. Alright, I'll get you anything you need. And let's see. Who would like for me to throw things on their sheet for travel purposes? Or should I create a separate player character for those items? Or I suppose just a note.
If we could do party, like a party tab or something, that would be fantastic.
Sure. I could probably throw it onto the party sheet. I assume I can probably just leave it in the party inventory effectively. So I'm going to ask, what do you think you need?
I mean, I can carry the barrel of water.
So what do you think you need for the trip? And then we'll figure out exactly how to divvy up what's there. And I'm going to go ahead and remove Arashem's things. Except for the rations.
I only have 2 days of rations, so I will need some rations.
All right,
and
so
some
rations.
Parchment and a pen.
The first thing
Well,
for the rations.
Oh, I lied. I have 20 days of rations.
So would you like additional rations relying on your own, or what would you like to do?
I'm okay. I just need some parchment and a pen.
Is it 10 rations a day?
No. It's 1 ration a day.
Okay, never mind. So I have 14 days worth.
Yeah.
What about just 30 for the party? And that will cover, based on the fact that some of us all have at least a few amongst ourselves, and some of us have some extra. Would that be all right? Again, we don't want to impose upon you. I mean, it's very nice of him to offer anything. I hope that means that he's going to reimburse you or compensate you.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. I wouldn't worry too much. Part of our actual main job here in Myocene is, our main export is getting people ready for the trip. So we try to keep everything on hand. And it's a payment.
2 days of rations.
You asked why 30 days of rations?
What's that?
You asked why 30 days of rations.
No, I said I only have 2 days of rations.
Ah. Would you like more?
I would definitely like more. I enjoy surviving.
Okay, so we'll mark y'all at 40 for the moment. Let's see, can I... Actually, that's something I think I'll probably just go ahead and do. I'll just throw it on Bob for the moment, just so I can double check the weight, but I'll have it on both locations.
I'm gonna slip out real quick and
Okay.
go back to the grave with my pouch.
You head out to the grave. It's quiet, raining.
I'm just gonna pick up some of the sand from his grave and put it in
You take some of the sand. Taking a deep breath. It's difficult, but you do so. I assume you return to the others?
Yeah.
What is... So 420 times 5, I believe. How much is 420 times 5? That's 2,000 and...
It's
Is it 6,000 at that point? So assuming I've got my understanding of weights and everything correctly, the mule with a sled that they're giving you as well can pull... I feel like that's wrong. Let me double check the weight on that. We love travel. I don't know where the rules are on my computer, but I know where they are in the player's handbook. So, let's see. Prepared for this ahead of time, and then I forgot what I prepared. Do. Oh yeah, 5 times 420 is right. It's what, 2,000? Right, yeah. 5 times 420, that comes out to 2,000, and then 20 times 5, so 2,100 weight. Yeah, you can carry up to 2,100 pounds worth of items.
Wow.
Because they're also giving you a sled.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oop. We'll just lock the mule at 2,100. The sled itself weighs 300 pounds, but that's easy enough. It's gonna be able to carry plenty more. Rations, we'll go ahead and leave. Oop, 40 days worth of rations. That's gonna be another chunk of weight. Which, let me make sure that's... Well, it's 380 pounds currently. And what else would you like? What else do you think you need?
Is there a list of what's in the general store somewhere?
Yeah, so you can find it either in the item section. You should be able to... Well, actually, I don't know if the items can narrow down to just the standard adventuring equipment. You can look online, I believe, or in the player's handbook. Let me see if there's a way to search by adventuring equipment. Yeah, so you can go to the type in the item section and then search and then select adventuring gear. You'll have access to adventuring gear, tack harness, drawn vehicles, some tools. You can ask about which ones. Light armor, and then simple weapons.
Okay.
Let's see. Water. Let's go with barrel. How much does a barrel weigh? It says an automatic 70 pounds. A water skin weighs 5 pounds. So we'll say the barrel. Barrels, I believe, can hold. Barrels. In real life, I believe a barrel can hold. How many gallons of water can a barrel hold?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know that off the top.
Neither do I. That's why I'm checking the power of the internet. About 80 gallons.
Wow.
My guess was somewhere between 50 and 100.
Okay, then you were right on the money. Good job, proud of you. All right, so if it's 80 gallons of water, we'll change it to barrel of water and increase the weight to 200, we'll say. Maybe that's too much, maybe it's not. We're not going to worry about it too much, at least. Unless y'all want to contest it, but... So, just so you know, because you are in a desert, you will effectively have to drink 2 gallons of water per person per day. Each person will need to drink 2 gallons of water, so if y'all are going fast, going down to about 7 days, or going slower and going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days to get to Feldspar, you would each need to drink a total of 16 gallons, which would be exactly 80 gallons of water. So if you want, you could do just 1 barrel of water, or you could do another one, or whatever like that.
Can we get a pony keg of water?
What?
Can we get a pony keg of water?
What is a pony keg of water?
Like a mini barrel, like a mini keg.
Sure, but I'm saying you might need more water, not less. If you try and take less than
No,
what...
I mean to add on to that.
Ah, you could get a smaller
Like
barrel.
a half
Let's see.
keg.
Well, I was thinking that we should have at least 2 barrels, just because sometimes accidents happen. You know, we could be waylaid by scorpions or some other such scenario, and if a barrel gets damaged, we would want the other barrel. So,
Can I just say, as a mountain girl, I am. What even is all of this? You guys have scorpions. You have sand everywhere. I miss the mountains.
Welcome to the desert, princess. Takio is a pretty dangerous place, all things considered. You said you were going to want 2 barrels of water?
honestly, if we have the space for it, I would love 3, but...
I think 2 should be plenty.
All right. Giselle, we're going to need to get that water later on. At 8. I'll make a note of it.
Do we get to pick our mule?
Sure, we only have a few to choose from. They're out back. May want to wait for the rain to finish up, though. They're cranky when it's raining like this. And at this point, ask, is there anything else you think you need? Ultimately, it's up to y'all to decide what you think you'll need for the desert travel.
Do we have enough food for the mule?
That's a good point. Let me see.
I was just going to ask for some oats and some apples.
So there is feed, which for some reason weighs a lot more than it's supposed to. I've looked at that. It's weird. So I'll go ahead and add feed and then change the weight. Because it shouldn't weigh 10 pounds, because medium creatures like mules only need to eat like a pound of food. So we'll say feed, parentheses, mule feed. That's gonna, I'll say weighs, I'll even it out. Let's say 5 pounds per day. And then you need enough to get there. How much mule feed would you like? It will also need to drink double water as well. So
Oh,
having the
jeez.
2 barrels is probably a good idea.
Definitely gonna need at least days, just in case. And then an apple a day and a handful of oats a day.
All right.
Do you guys have apples in the desert? That like a thing?
Not really. We have some fruit, mostly watermelon, and I'm trying to remember what else. They do a lot of. Deserts have. That's it. We have dates, mostly dried dates, various nuts, watermelon as well. Grows surprisingly well here.
What's watermelon?
You've never had watermelon. Giselle, if you don't mind cracking open a watermelon for us, and you see the half orc come up with a watermelon with a large green gourd, pulls out a large hunting style knife and cuts it open, and begins to cut some slices for y'all. And it's this. It's
Why is it
most-
red?
have no idea, but it tastes delicious.
It
also
is
fairly
really.
hydrating.
I'm just really confused. I thought it would be like water colored.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know why we call them this, but they've always been called to me.
Hmm.
How many days of feed did you want for the mule?
10.
10?
Yeah.
Yeet. How do y'all like the watermelon? Out of like, I'm IDM and asking, how does your character react to watermelon? This weird, squishy, gooey fruit with a surprising amount of liquid.
The group has never seen Cedar look so happy. A huge smile runs across her face.
You like it then? I'll make sure to add some of them as part of your rations then. They're a little bit heavy, but they're also hydrating. They're worth it. You'll need this map. So he sets the map of Vacuo on the table as well. Is there anything else he would particularly recommend? Not immediately that I'm aware of. Maybe though. Is there anything else you're going to ask for? What would you like to try?
Do you happen to have any connections in Feldspar? Anybody we could talk to if we need help?
I've done a few people. I've traveled just a little bit, not a lot. I've mostly stayed here. But I have. As Micah checks his notes, there is someone he knows here. I like saying Sue me. There's a carpenter who was a friend of my father's. His name is Hashim. He's a nice man. He'll most likely be able to help you with anything when you're there.
identifying ability?
He's a human carpenter. He's fairly tall. A little bit shorter than I am, actually. He's got brown, shaggy hair, long beard. A little bit on the large side. Nothing too bad about that, especially if you can get that way out here. He's a nice man. Note the jovial guy in town, and that's probably him.
Well, you've been extremely helpful. Thank you so much for all that you've done for us.
Of course, and simply let me know if there's anything else you need. Let me or Giselle know. You can also... You'll probably want to wait out the rain. If you like, you can start today, but that's going to make it much more difficult to find your way if you leave now. I recommend waiting until tomorrow. The rains should pass. They don't... It tends to flood a lot very quickly and then move on.
No, we can wait a day or hopefully not too long.
Hopefully
We
not.
can maybe learn some more information and see if these kobolds are going to get in line and maybe do the right thing. I suppose anything's possible. Now, do you have any information or a library either in town, or do you know of one in Feldspar or
Library. We don't have one in town. Books are a bit harder to come by. You do? Over at the Church of Sylvanus, Layla, she runs it. She might have some books. That's probably your best bet. We don't have a ton of books around here. Feldspar. I think I remember there being a book club there, but I don't know anything about it. Run by, I believe we're called the Oxfords. Might be worth checking in on. I've got some patrolling to do. I need to make sure the guards and everyone are well taken care of.
Can I have just one extra watermelon?
Of course. You will leave? Giselle will go ahead and cut you that extra watermelon. He's taking a liking to you.
I want to share it with my friends, the kobolds.
Everyone deserves a chance. If they happen to need any purple ribbons, let me know.
I will. Thank you so much.
What do you do? What would you like to do?
Well, I'm going to excuse myself and go to see about this lady Layla at the church. Find out what I might be able to learn of this quaint little place. If anyone would like to join me, you're welcome to do so. Of course, otherwise...
I would love to. I love books.
Excellent. Well, yes, come along then and we'll get going. But otherwise, I plan on being back here for dinner and hopefully another show.
Can we just stop off for the kobolds on our way?
I don't see why not.
Step out of the front porch where a couple of them are actually like splashing the muddy sand at each other. Making a slight mess, but nothing too much. They seem to be either competitive or angry at each other, and it's hard to tell the difference.
I brought you guys something that I think you'll really like that reminds me of home.
Yeah.
I know it looks kind of weird, but it's really fun to spit the seeds out of it. You should try it. It's really good.
They will
What is
taste it. It is watermelon.
I don't know if you've ever had it before, but it just reminds me a lot of...
Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah?
Cool. Okay, I wasn't sure if we were having technical difficulties. Everything was quiet for a second. The kobolds move over. They taste it hesitantly, but their eyes seem to light up, and they continue eating it. Very sweet. I like
Very
it.
delicious.
And they will happily sit on the porch and munch into the watermelon. You think they'll pay us with watermelon if we work here?
I think they'll pay you with more than just that.
Oh. They will happily eat the watermelon. Sit there looking into the rain. You're not totally
They
sure if
even
they're
have
deep in thought or if
ribbon.
they're completely lacking in thoughts. But they seem happy.
They even
Hmm?
have purple ribbons if you need some purple ribbon. They told me to tell you that.
Guess we might as well if we're not with Bosk anymore. Tribe is broken. We will. Thank you.
Enjoy your watermelon.
Thank you. What was your name, lady?
You can call me Moretta.
Thank you, Moretta.
Absolutely.
They will enjoy themselves as you step off into the town. The gentle rain pattering on the different rooftops. Mostly made of wood, some with sandstone intermixed. As you head over to the fairly large building, the bell tower that reaches into the sky about 35 feet. Its design immediately giving away the religious nature with a symbol of what you would know as the symbol of the three gods painted above the double doors.
All right. Well, I will hold the door for Merida, and make the movement of my hand to show after you, and if she doesn't go anywhere, then I'll go in.
I'm gonna enter in, going, smiling, saying, "I just love it. So beautiful. It smells so clean."
Are you coming as well, Cedar? Doug?
I think I'm just gonna wait outside.
I'll wait with Doug.
Do so. As Garand and Moretta enter in, you see the inside of the building is clean. It's fairly clean and well kept with the expected pews and a podium at the end. It's not extremely beautiful. There are stained glass windows inlaid on the walls, but don't have any particular design. They're just different pieces of blues and greens and blacks all meshed together. Or I'm sorry, blues and greens and red all meshed together in an iron holder. And you see standing near the podium, actually sitting on the steps next to the podium, is a female dwarf wearing priest robes.
Good day, madam. Are you Miss Layla?
Looks up. What do we have here? Nice to meet you all. Yes, I'm Layla. What can I do for you?
Oh, my companion here is Moretta. My name is Garand. We're both fan of books and information, and if you have time to speak with us, we'd love to perhaps peruse your library or learn maybe stories you have to tell or something of that nature.
I can do both of those. Not a huge library, and she takes you off toward a small back room that you see has a simple bed in it, a desk, and a few other living amenities. And then there are two shelves packed with fairly well-worn books. It doesn't look like any of them are particularly new. Not a lot here. Mostly religious texts about the gods, primarily Sylvanas. We do have a few historical books about the continent as a whole, a bit about the other three kingdoms, but mostly about Vacuo. We have some different storybooks from Vale, and even some different, I believe, some fighting techniques in here somewhere, a manual of some kind. Oh, and cookbooks, like cookbooks. But unfortunately, I pretty much just have to get whatever comes through in the caravans. I'm not able to send an order into anywhere in particular, not easily at least.
Well, if it'd be all right, I would love to sit around, maybe at one of the more public areas, so I'm not invading your personal space. But I would love to look over some of these items if that'd be okay.
You're welcome to read in the pews. No problem at all. And if you have any questions, I'm a little bit of the historian, but there's not much of that here. I'm more of just a history buff who happens to be the priest of this town. If you need anything, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm reading this own book myself. She holds up. It appears to be a storybook. It's a good one. If you want to borrow it, you're welcome to. But unfortunately, you can't take anything out of the town. I have hard enough getting my hands on these anyway.
No, of course not. I wouldn't dream of it.
And you're allowed to pick whatever books you like. And I think now is probably a good time to go ahead and take a 5-10 minute break, let people go and get water before we finish out for the night. Because, audience, in case I haven't already mentioned, this is going to be a shorter night than usual. We're going to end about 9:30 Central this time. Let's get some
I'm gonna
music
start
going.
looking through the story.
What was that?
I'm gonna start looking through the story.
Cutting out on that last word every time.
I'm gonna look through the story, but sorry.
The storybooks, okay. You find us real world. Or I guess I'll tell you what after we come back. I'll tell you what kind of things you find in the storybooks. Because RWBY actually has a fairly important storybook culture from the show, but oddly enough, most of our players haven't actually seen the show. Just me, pretty much. I think AJ said, or Jack said he saw some. I don't remember. Has anyone else seen much of the show?
I watched it in preparation.
Nice. How much of it have you seen?
2 seasons.
2 seasons?
Yeah.
Nice. You've actually got a decent bit of the front-loaded, more interesting parts, in my personal opinion.
I wrote something in the session highlights.
You did. Sorry for the unexpected shopping part of it, but don't want to bog down with that stuff, but I figure y'all will. I find it's more fun if y'all get to choose your own supplies and stuff, because that means if something goes horribly wrong while you're on your journey, it's your fault, not mine. For the audience's sake, since they're typing that out in the chat, Garand went for the combat manuals and started toward the storybook, but Moretta grabbing it first. He asked if he could look at them when she finished, and she said, of course. This is an audio medium, and the audience can't see your messages.
That's true. I have still not gotten used to the push-to-text issue. I start talking, I'm like, wait a minute, nobody's heard me. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Push to talk can be rough. Takes quite a bit to get used to.
I'm gonna ask the lady, what's your favorite story?
That's fun. I get to drop some. Oh, when we get back, she will tell you.
No.
Sorry.
No.
You back, Jack? Go back to Jacks for more.
Sorry, I've been trying to handle multiple things at once, and I
I just
wasn't.
made a joke. I'm not. We're chill. It's fine.
Go back to Jack
For more. Don't go
I
back
got
to Jacks. You're too fat. Sorry.
Is that from something?
Yeah,
I
it's from
don't.
the next commercial.
Yeah, I think that. What did they
Commercial?
actually use that as a commercial at one point? You're too fat for Jacks. No more.
Not
Like
no more. It's more.
Yeah. I remember there was a short series of Goldfish commercials, a very short series, where they like said the thing that they kind of weren't supposed to continue on, but but became a cultural thing of goldfish. They're the snack that smiles back. That's the normal one. But then it's goldfish. They're the snack that smiles back until you bite their heads off. Goldfish, and it was a thing for a very short period of time. I think during one of the Super Bowl commercials.
I totally remember that.
It was hilarious. It became a joke in my household for months.
I don't remember that at all. That's
It
wild.
was amazing. I'm glad to know I'm not crazy, because some people in my family just straight up don't remember it. But now that I know that Ray, someone who is completely disconnected from me, knows about it, it's all good.
I do remember that.
It's the Mandela effect.
It's pretty hilarious. It caused me to always bite the heads off my goldfish for quite a bit of time before I eat the tails. Even though it's almost entirely head. But yeah, no.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you bite the head off, there's nothing left.
And there's the tiniest bit of tail.
Oh. Like a crumb.
Now I want goldfish, but I really shouldn't, because I was and kind of still am low-key addicted to it. I will buy like boxes of goldfish and I'll finish them in a week or less. And I really shouldn't, because it's not good for my health. So I will very, very occasionally, like once a year, allow myself to get it, and then I'll clear it in a week. I'm like, this is why I can't have it all the time. It would never stop.
I get like that with a lot of stuff. Like I'll like hook onto something for like a few months and like only eat that.
I try to do a good variety, and I think I do a pretty good job of it. I like to eat at home, actually, more than most people. I'll make chicken and green beans and stuff, because I live in the South. Throw in a bunch of other stuff. I'll eat sushi or rice or beans or soup or sandwiches, whatever. Lots of different stuff. Especially breakfast. Breakfast is great, but never for breakfast. I never eat breakfast, but I always eat breakfast for other meals.
Yes.
Breakfast is like the best part of it.
Breakfast food.
I mean, minus getting the food, but like, there's something about waking up in your cabin after a long.
I mean, there are different types of ducks.
This is true. And there's goose call. But there's nothing quite like a something breakfast.
I just thought it'd be funny. The
Don't come
vegan
after me,
teacher
PETA.
lady.
Then don't come after me, PETA.
I was about to say more. I don't care about PETA. The vegan teacher lady. That'd be funny.
Oh, jeez.
That everyone kind of hates, because even the people that are vegan, she's so annoying.
Have you seen the beef between her and her own son?
I haven't. It's funny that you say the beef between her and her own son, though. She
hates him. She kicked him out because he ate a chicken nugget.
That tracks with what she seems to say on her channels.
That's insane. Like, living up here, I mean, people talk about it all the time. I'm like, if you have a better way to feed villages that are literally on a rock in the middle of the Bering Sea and can't get supplies, by all means, let us know that you have a substantial food source that can survive Alaskan winters. Until then, you shusha.
Basically.
That's what, like, I don't like it when people hunt for sport. I think that's kind of like,
It's a waste.
it's, well, to me, it's like,
At the
it's
very
really
least,
weird
give the
that
food
that's
to someone
something you
that
want
likes
to do.
venison.
But, like, if you're going to eat it, it makes complete sense. If you're surviving off of it, it makes sense.
And if you're not, give it to people like me who love venison.
You can get on a special roadkill list for when people hit moose on the highway, and somebody will come and butcher the moose, and you get on the list, and they will bring you moose meat.
Are
That
you
sounds
saying moose
amazing.
with an M or goose with a G?
Moose with an M.
Moose with an
That
M.
is a lot of meat. Holy cow.
That's why
Yeah,
they need a
it's
list of people to give it to.
So we just got done packing for the moose hunt, which we got 7 moose.
Nice.
It took us like 4
Holy
days.
cow. Do y'all have enough freezers for keeping
You
all
should
that
see,
meat?
like the main family that does it. You should see their setup. They have like 5 freezers, and then they have like an outdoor thing, so like you can hang the moose,
Uh-huh.
so you
Yeah.
don't have to like run through it really really fast. Because it's like a 2-week hunt, and then they'll send moose back as they get them, and so that way whoever's home doesn't get stuck like having to process the moose by themselves. Because I just process the moose. That's all I do. I don't go for the hunt because that's like $2,000.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a bit much.
So I just show up and I pack and all that fun stuff, and then I get to take some.
I like deer hunting, and I want to probably have a rabbit farming set up when I have my own place in a long while. That'd be neat. Because rabbits are
Rabbit
actually
good.
they're almost as lean as chicken, and apparently taste really good. So sounds great.
Too.
They grow to fruition every, I think it's
And you have
6
their
weeks.
skins.
Hmm.
And you have rabbit fur, which is super warm and super sticky.
It's true. Make stuff out of the rabbit fur. You could even, if you didn't want to keep the rabbit fur, if you want to butcher yourself, you can, and then just sell the pelts. Or you can even pay someone professionally who will give you a discount if they get to keep the pelts and sell them. And so you can get it processed for you if you want. At least in Alabama. They'll probably do fryers. As much as people are like, no, but it's a relatively young rabbit. Yeah, but if it gets older, then the meat gets tough, and then it would be better in stew. So you just fryers. It's fine. It's a rabbit.
It is.
My family hates the
I
idea
used to
because they're
have-
like, no, you're killing bunnies and eating bunnies. And I'm like, yeah,
exactly.
what's your point?
I'm with your family, so
We-
sorry.
I had a pet bunny and I ate bunnies.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just didn't
You
tell my
ate
rabbit.
well, she didn't
just
eat the
didn't
bunny.
tell
That
my
was her
rabbit.
pet. She just
Not my pet. I just
Oh.
ate rabbit while in the house with my pet bunny. I just didn't tell him.
Oof.
And on that wonderful, heartwarming note, let's get back into it, shall we?
Welcome to the last frontier.
Space? You live in space?
That's the final frontier. I said the last frontier.
The last and then the final. Perfect.
Yeah,
All right.
They're cute. Yeah.
Well, it's like Final
Garon.
Fantasy 17, you know? I mean,
Yeah. It's the Final Fantasies. They never really are the Final Fantasy. They're just the next one. All right, Garand and Moretta, you get your books, and you're able to sit down quite easily. You mentioned something about a story.
I just wanted to know what her favorite story was. That's the one I wanted to start with.
She would point you toward, that story wouldn't exist yet in RWBY lore. That. She would point you toward chapter 3. which, as you flip to it, is labeled, and this might surprise you: Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Huh.
And what might be
Talking
surprising
like
to
the Happy Disney version or the original version?
the original, it's the Grimm version. I think it was Grimm's
Alrighty.
originally.
Yeah.
It's a little darker than Disney one, but Snow White is actually relatively light comparatively. It just has more heart stabbings and cutting out people's hearts, specifically of the hunter. But the general storyline is actually relatively close to Snow White, all things considered. Relatively close to the movie version. But yeah,
At least it kind of ends on a high note, so that's
Yeah.
kind of good.
but you
yeah.
as Ray, this is the same story. It's not a fantasy story. It's not a separate one. It's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Those of you outside, what are y'all up to?
I'm just looking at all the different buildings. Is there, like, what else is there in town that I see?
There's not a lot. It's more of a village. It's a fairly small locale that has 3 main buildings that are at the centerpiece of the 3 pathways into the town, coming from Vale and then heading north towards Sheer, and then a little bit southeast towards Feldspar. There are 3 buildings that flank the central intersection, being the Tired Camel Inn, where you spent the previous night, the Church of Sylvanas, that you're currently in front of, and then the Miocene General Store. They're the most impressive buildings, with the Tired Camel Inn being the only 2-story building in the entire village. Most of the rest of the buildings are houses, farmhouses, different sheds, and seemingly like tool and storage facilities, but for the most part, they're fairly simple houses. Some don't even have wooden doors on them, but just cloth pulled over, but it doesn't seem like anyone minds. You would note from walking around that behind the general store is a set of stables that you could assume there are mules or other type of pack animals back there. And there are a few specialized buildings behind the Tired Camel Inn that has the individual rooms that some of you actually stayed in the night before. Is there anything you'd like to do? Hello?
Not me.
I think
I
I'm
let the rain fall down and wash away my dreams.
Well, that's depressing.
It's just a Hillary Duff song, man. Relax.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Are you
what were you
old
saying?
enough to remember that song?
And
I
who
should
might be
remember.
too old? Who might be too old to remember that song?
Sounds like when I was 12.
I listened to it when I was like 8, man.
I never listened to Hillary Duff because I didn't like her.
Boo. Shut the non-belief.
Jack, what was it?
You like people that progressed and didn't go crazy, so I have some respect for her.
Yeah, like Miley Cyrus. She went crazy.
Amanda Bynes.
Taylor Swift was another one of those that kind of went crazy and then kind of came back, and now I don't know how to feel about her.
Bro, she's always been crazy.
I disagree. Listening to her first songs and like with Tim McGraw and everything, she was pretty stable.
No, she wasn't.
Maybe I just didn't know any better. Yeah, but Jack, what was it you wanted to do?
Yeah, I think Doug is just going to enjoy the weather because it hardly ever rains.
You can easily take the time. Those of you inside, do you have any questions, or are you just going to spend the afternoon reading?
Does it seem like there's anything that Garon can learn from the any of the combat manuals?
Let's see. Is there a check that would make sense for this? Or his comprehension of the combat manuals he's reading? Because ultimately it depends on what Garon's history is, and his experience with combat. These are largely war type of books, different types of how you would order different troops, using, for example, the high ground, why that's an advantage, fighting during sunlight, using reflective armors, mirrors to distract people, learning how to flank properly, knowing how to push your enemy into a corner, but how oftentimes pushing them into a corner isn't always the best thing to do, because someone with nowhere to run is someone with nothing to lose. Different parts of it, even one of the manuals has a bunch of different individual anecdotes of different battles. One called the Battle of Red Orchid that took place near Feldspar before the Schism. Different ones that took place in Vacuo, and even something about some battles in Mantle, up in the northern continent. As for things you can get out of it, it wouldn't be anything mechanically beneficial. But if you wanted to lean into that in future things, you can.
All right, so it's mostly like strategy and tactics.
Yeah.
All right. No one's really shown themselves to be that kind of way, so I'll just note that this book exists. Does it have a title?
Yes, it would be The Warfare of Vacuo.
All right, I'll see if there's a more recent edition in a larger town where I might be able to buy a copy.
Eventually, feel free to write it down. How long
Well,
do y'all spend perusing and relaxing?
Well, I mean, I couldn't copy an entire book in an afternoon, so.
No. But y'all spend the afternoon relaxing and reading?
Yep. That's my plan, to read through all the stories.
I'll go ahead and move us ahead to 6 o'clock. Is there anything you would like to do as the day winds down and as, though it is getting dark, as the rain begins to lessen and appears that it's beginning to pass, but there's not much time to go anywhere during the day or begin your venture? Is there anything you'd like to do in the village?
Sounds like dinner time to me.
I want to talk to our mule.
You find the mule, and you're welcome to pick one of the options. There are a couple different ones. Most of them are speckled. Obviously, there's no purebred mule, as mules are a mixture between, I believe, donkeys and horses. Which they do have a couple of those, but it appears they're mostly going to let you take the mule. There are a couple different ones. Do you have any particular color you're looking for?
Is there a red one?
Roll me a d20. And we'll say on a 15 or higher, there's a red one.
Did it go?
Nope.
Oh.
There is not a red one. There are some different black and brown ones, even a couple gray, but no red. Nothing
Get
too
a
fancy
gray
here.
Are there any, like, what's the male and female ratio?
Make a nature check.
A nature check?
Yep, to see if you can tell which ones are male and female, unless you're going to go to the effort of checking each one. Unless you want to check at a glance.
Hold on. Nature.
It'll be in the skills thing. It
Yup.
looks that, like, the majority of them are male. There are a few female ones, though.
Hmm.
There are, like, of the 7 mules you can find, 4 of them are male. Or 5, rather.
I'm gonna ask Doug. Doug, do you think we should get a male or a female mule?
Oh, I need to fix the art for Doug. I'll do that before next week.
I'm partial towards females. They're less moody.
Female it is.
Alright,
Get me a
you-
gray male one.
You find a gray female one, and they leave it in the stable since you're not leaving until tomorrow. But they do place a tag on the front of the stable door that it stands behind that it is claimed.
I'm gonna name her Beria.
Beria,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. Beria the mule. Let's hope you don't bury ya.
Aha.
Comedy.
I sit and talk to Beria, just kind of tell her about our journey so far. I talk to her about my family and how I miss them. And I talk to her about how nervous I am to be traveling with people I hardly know.
Roll me an animal handling check.
Handling?
Yep, animal handling.
Oh, animal handling. Got it.
Cedar's rolling all the checks today. Not totally sure, but you feel like a couple of times that it snorts, almost in response, like it understands you.
We're best friends now.
It seems to like you. I assume Garand will perform again.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Go ahead and roll a performance check as you all rest into the evening. It doesn't sound like you have anything else you'd like to do around town. Is that the case?
Correct.
You do quite well, and I will say you get 10 copper pieces and 9 silver pieces over the course of the night, as well as, once again, free food and a room for you. As the night wears on, you sit quietly thinking about the day. Losing someone this quickly, it's not the easiest thing to do. But it happens. And you have to move forward. You all rest for the night, and I need someone to roll me a d20.
Someone to what?
To roll me a d20.
Got it. Did it show up?
It did. I was just double checking the reason why I had you roll, and you're lucky that it's on that side of the d20 and not the other one.
Oh.
'Cause if you'd rolled the lower, things might have happened. But the night
Oh.
passes smoothly, and I have set the
As,
clock.
people rest. What?
Continue.
I was gonna say, as people rest, Doug's gonna bring out Bosk's head, and just curious, how many teeth are in his mouth?
What an interesting question. Let me check. He has a picture, which means technically I can just look. Oh, probably somewhere in the 15 to 20 range.
Right.
Probably. Maybe more. I don't know Dragonborn physiology.
Okay.
I'll say 22.
So he's just gonna take one of the teeth and just make a a dart out of it, just
Okay,
like
there you go.
visiting before he goes to bed.
It's fair. And are you going to dispose of Bosk's head or keep holding
Uh,
on to it?
I'm just gonna hold on to it.
It looks like, for whatever reason, you were not doubted when you reported what happened. Even though he asked for something to be brought back, it didn't look like he checked.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like bring his head out for like I'm not just gonna have it on display.
Yeah.
It'll
But
just be for me to make do with
yeah.
things on the road.
You spend the night, and figure feel like we can go ahead and end the session even a bit earlier than initially anticipated. Sorry, YouTube and um, Twitch, if you wanted more. But you will be receiving experience for the official quest for dealing with the Kobold Extortionists, which I'm going to go ahead and just award it. It's going to bring all of you to 300 XP, which I'm going to double check, but I'm pretty sure that means all of you will be leveling up.
Yeehaw!
And if you'd like, we can go ahead and stop here and then double check our what's the word? Double check or go ahead and do our leveling up stuff for the night if you'd like. Do you want to do that?
That sounds excellent.
Cool. In that case, I'm gonna go ahead and end the YouTube recording. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Hopefully you're fine with the fact that it was not a super eventful session. That happens. You know, traveling, making plans, and we will see you all in session 4, hopefully next week. And for anyone that is curious, it will be a few sessions before Ethan is able to be back because some life stuff is keeping him away. So he will be out for the next few weeks, but whenever he comes back in, his new character will be introduced. Until then, the character decal will have a silhouette where RSM once was. So bye, YouTube. Everyone say bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
That works. Bye.
Later.